I'm Tim Churchill from Tim Talk, and today I'm going to do a game review of a new deck building game called Shards of Infinity I found. I think it's a really fun game, and today I'm going to set it up, I'm going to teach you the rules, we're going to play it, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on the game. The rules of the game are fairly simple. It's basically a mix between Magic and another foreign deck building game. Each player is going to have one of these character cards. So you're going to be the blue player, and I'm going to be the purple player. Now I'm going to deal out both players' starter hands. So in your starter hand, you have a crystal card. You're going to have 7 of those in your starter hand. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got 7 crystals here. I have 1 blaster here, which deals 1 damage. I have 1 shard reactor, which gives you 2 money. And I have the Infinity Shard, which deals very little damage right now, but this is arguably the most important card in the game. So, in this game, there are 4 types of currency. There is money, which is this little blue egg shape here. So, money can be acquired through a variety of ways. Mainly through the types of cards that you either have in your starter hand or cards that you buy throughout the game. So, I'm just going to move these out of the way. So, money, or runes, are one type of currency. However, damage, which is the way that you eliminate your other opponent, is another form of currency. Next is life, which is a little green triangle. Sorry, a little green plus sign. I don't have that on any of my cards right now, but you're going to find that somewhere throughout the game. Actually, that green plus sign is your life. That's your health points. That's how much strength you have in the game. So when that number hits 0, you're out of the game. You've lost. You've died. So the objective of the game is to be the last one standing. So right now, this is only a 2-player game, so the second the other player is eliminated, you've won. But in a 3- or 4-person game, the game goes much longer. So with a 2-person, it typically only lasts about 15 to 20 minutes. So it's your goal to stay alive longer than your opponent and to bring down their health as fast as possible. So you do this by dealing damage you acquire through cards, like the Infinity Shard. So there's money, which you use to buy better cards so you can make your deck better and more efficient. There's damage, which you use to attack your other player. There's life, which you can use to heal back health points with certain cards. And finally, there is mastery, that yellow weird symbol right there. So mastery, you can have up to 30 mastery, and it's essentially the amount of magical capacity you have. It's the more mastery you have, the more you can do with certain cards. Certain cards, like, say, the crystal, are just a simple card that tells you exactly what to do. It has text, and it just tells you what that card allows you to do. However, cards like the Infinity Shard, if you'll notice, have a 10, 20, and 30 written on them. That means that once you have 10 mastery, you gain a new effect. When you hit 20 mastery, you have another effect. When you hit 30 mastery, you can deal infinite damage. So the reason why the Infinity Shard is such an important card in the game, and because everyone has one in their starter hand, is because you can, if you reach 30 mastery and you have this card, you can end the game. So I know a lot of people just go for buying money or getting attack or getting health so they can heal, but personally, I think mastery is a very crucial strategy because if you can get to 30 mastery very quickly, you can automatically end the game. So, yeah, that's the 4 types of currency. So I'm going to deal out another starter hand. All right. So I'm going to give this to the other player, and now we can start the game. All right, so on their character card, there are 2 wheels. Now, if you'll notice, right by this yellow symbol for mastery, there's a wheel, and it goes up to 30. Now, at the beginning of the game, you want to start with 0 mastery unless you go second, which in case you have 1 mastery. So I'm going to go first, so I'm going to start with 0 right here. And this next wheel up here measures your health. That goes all the way up to 50, and both players automatically start the game with maximum 50 health. The skull means that you've been eliminated from the game. You've gone down to 0 health and you're out. So, alright, so I'm at 50. I'm going to start the game with 0 mastery. And I'm going to shuffle the main deck. Start at 50, and you're going to start with 1 mastery because you're going second. Basically a consolation that you don't get first pick of the cards. Alright, so there are 4 different types of cards in the game. There are order cards, which tend to let you draw other cards in your deck and sometimes give you mastery. So this is what an order card looks like. They're typically blue, or have a blue background. There are wraith cards, which are typically purple and give you a lot of damage and let you banish weaker cards from your deck to make it thinner. There are Homodeus cards, which typically give you a lot of money and also work very well with other Homodeus cards in your deck. And there are Undergrowth cards, which typically give you a lot of health and sometimes give you damage when you can play them with other Undergrowth cards. So, all of those cards are called allies. That means that when you buy them and they come up in your hand, you shuffle them, you play their effect, they go once, they go away, they go back into your discard pile, and then eventually when your deck runs out, you shuffle that again and you play them again. So those are all not just one-time uses, but you play them once and then they go away and then you shuffle them again. Unlike those, there are cards called champions. Now, champions are kind of like mini players. When you play them, they don't just use their effect and go away. They stay there until someone eventually kills them. So the champions are essentially like minions that the player can use. So if you'll notice, so the health sign right there, so right there that says that this champion's health signature is 2. That means that the other player, has to deal 2 damage to that card to eliminate it. Otherwise, it always stays out. So champions can be extremely useful, however, they're typically very expensive. So, there's another type of card called a mercenary. A mercenary can be of any of the 4 factions. It can be an ally or a champion. However, a special thing about a mercenary is that the red text right there saying mercenary, that means that when it's out in the center row, any player at any point can choose to buy it, and instead of throwing into his discard pile and waiting for it to come up multiple times, can choose to use its effect instantaneously, and then that card goes away. So essentially, you can fast track that card into the game, but you don't get to use it more than once. It just goes away. That typically is only used when the game is about to end and you need to end it very quickly. So those are pretty much the only rules in the game. There are a couple other small components that might appear in the cards in the center deck, but I'm just going to shuffle those, and then if there are any complications that come up, I will just explain those. Pretty much, it's just the main mechanics are just that of a simple deck builder. On your turn, you draw your cards, you see if you have any money, use that money to buy any cards in the center deck. When you buy a card, a new card automatically flips. Then you deal any damage, heal any health, and level up any mastery. One other important factor. So you'll notice on your card, it says focus, pay 1 money, exhaust, gain 1 mastery. That means, in simple terms, any turn, at any point, you can pay 1 money to get 1 mastery. However, the exhaust part means you can only do it once. Once you do it once, it's exhausted for that turn. So that means you can only pay 1 money to get 1 mastery. You can't pay 5 money to get 5 mastery. That's just not how it works. It's only a once per turn situation. You have 10 cards, and then you shuffle those 10 cards, and then you draw 5.
Okay, gotcha.
So every turn, you're going to have 5 cards. Unless you have a special card in your hand that says you get to draw another card. You're also just going to draw 5, and then from there, you're going to see if you draw any extra cards. All right. So the main deck has been shuffled. So any time in the game, there are going to be 6 cards in the main deck, or in the center row, rather. Alright, so there are a lot of good cards here. Alright, so my 5 cards are obviously all cards in my starter hand. So I got Infinity Shard right here. I've got a Crystal right here, which just gives me 1 money. I've got a Blaster right here, which just gives me 1 damage. I've got 2 more crystals here. So I have 3 damage to you. So I'm going to take 3 damage off the counter. So for exchanging damage and things like that. So now you'll go down to 47. So the green plus sign is your health, and the yellow pointy thing is the mastery. So every time you get a mastery, you push the dial up 1. Every time you lose health, you lower it. Every time you gain health, you raise it. So I'm dealing 3 damage, and I have 3 to buy, so I'm going to take this card, the Shard Abstractor, which gives me 2 mastery every time it comes up. So now that I've finished using all of my cards, I sweep up all of them and put them in my discard pile. So at every point in the game, or pretty much every point in the game, you're going to have a deck and a discard pile. So whenever you're done using cards, they go into your discard pile, and the new cards you're about to draw for your next hand, and you automatically draw 5 new cards at the end of your turn, you always draw that from your deck. And when your deck runs out, you shuffle your discard pile again, and then that becomes your deck. So you have 4 crystals, which means you have 4 money, and you've got 1 Infinity Shard, which means you have 2 damage to deal, which means I'm going to take 2 damage on my counter here, and you have 4 to buy. You can buy that card for 4, you can buy that card for 2, and you can buy that card for 3. And remember, at any point in the game, you can spend 1 of your remaining money to level up 1 mastery, but only 1. You bought this card for 3. Oh, and in addition, a few certain cards have this little symbol right there as a shield. That means that when you possess that card and someone is attempting to deal damage to you and you've drawn that in your hand for the next turn. So say you're dealing 5 damage to me and I have this card in my hand. Because that's a shield and it has the number 3 inside of it, that means that can absorb 3 damage. So shield cards are a nice way of preventing damage from hitting you. Any card you buy or any card that you draw at the end of your turn always goes away. And those cards run out, because right now you've got 10 cards and you're playing 5. That means when those go away, those are going to end up in your discard pile, and that means you're going to shuffle them again, and then that becomes your deck. Oh, did you level up 1? So you can move your mastery up 1 because you had 1 you didn't spend. You start out with 1, and because you only bought a card for 3 last turn, you have 1 left you can use to level up. Otherwise, it's just a waste of a coin. So, for next turn, I have a crystal, another crystal, shared reactor, and then 2 more crystals. So, that means that I have 6 to buy. So for 6, I think I'm going to go with this champion, which gives me 6 damage every turn until it's killed. So, I just took my turn. Now I'm shuffling so I can draw my next 5 cards for my next turn. And now it goes over to you. So now you get to draw your next 5 cards out of your deck, and then take your turn. So now you've got 5 to buy, and 1 damage. So I'm at 48, so now I'm going to go down to 47 because they're hitting me for 1 damage. And then that means that you have, 5 to buy. So you can buy that one for 2, that one for 3, that card for 4, that card for 5, or that one for 5. So you've got a decent amount of money for the cards on the board right now. So you bought, I believe you took the Cryptophist Monk for 5, and that allows you to draw a card and gives you an 8 shield when you draw it. All right, nice. All right, so I've got a crystal, my champion that just came up that I bought last turn. So yes, now I have, so this guy comes up because he's a champion, so he stays out. And I have 5 to spend. So I'm going to buy this guy for 5. This guy gives me 3 damage and gives me an extra 2 damage for every Wraith card I play on that turn. So again, an important strategy is making sure you frequently buy cards of the same faction that can play off each other. So particularly with Wraith and Undergrowth and Homodeus cards, when you play one with another card, that's something called a unite. That means that you've united multiple cards of the same faction, which means you might get an additional bonus for having both of them combined. That's not with every card, but if it says unite or multi-unite, that means you can gain an additional effect by having multiple cards of the same faction. Let's see. So I bought that for 5, and my champion just came out for 6, which means I can attack you for 6. Just a recommendation to the player. Because I have a champion that gives me 6 damage every turn, you want to make sure you get a lot of damage and hit that for 2 and kill it really soon. Because otherwise, you're going to be taking 6 damage every turn, which is not ideal. So I'm going to draw my next 5 cards, and now it goes over to you. So you now have 4 crystals and 1 damage. So you can buy that card, or that card, or that card. For 2, 3, 4, or 1. I would recommend slimming your deck out and getting a lot of mastery. So I'd recommend getting this card for 3 and then leveling up an extra mastery for 1, which means you now get to increase the lower dial by 1. Because you have 1 extra one to spend, because you have 4 money and you only spent 3 of it. And unfortunately you can't kill this champion yet, but I still take 1 damage. And yeah, so now I take my next turn. All right, so I've got a crystal, a shard abstractor that gives me 2 mastery, an infinity shard, crystal, and a blaster. So that means that I only have 2 money, but I've got 3 damage and 2 mastery, which means I can level up 2 mastery now. So now I finally get on the board with 2 right there. And that means I have 2 to buy. And there really isn't anything that I really want for 1 or 2. So I'm just going to spend an additional 1 of my money to level up 1 mastery again. And now I'm dealing 6, 8, 9 damage to you. So you draw 5 more cards, and then you take your turn. So you have 3 crystals, 1 shard reactor, and an infinity shard. So you haven't quite made it into the next bracket for the shard reactor, but you still have 5 to spend, and you have 2 to hit me with. So I assume you're going to take that 2 damage to hit my champion, which knocks him into my discard pile. And you have 5 to buy, which means you can take this guy for 2, this guy for 3, this one for 4, this one for 1, or this one for 5. Personally, I would recommend taking this for 5 because it gives you both damage and mastery, and I think you need both. So then that goes right into your discard pile, and yeah. What am I doing now? So I've got a shard reactor, 3 crystals, and an infinity shard. Same hand you just had. So I've got 5 to buy and 2 damage to deal. So for 5, I'm going to take this for 3. And I don't really need any other cards, so I'm just going to take my remaining 2 money and spend 1 of it to level up to 4. And I deal 2 damage to you, which means you'll lower your health dial by 2. And that's it. That's my turn. So now I'm going to draw my 5, and it goes back to you. Nice, you have 5 to buy. I would heavily recommend spending 5 of your money to get this card for 5 because it's a champion, and champions are always good because they don't go away until your opponent takes them out, and because it gives you a lot of damage, and it gives you even more damage, you have a lot of mastery. Alright, so now you take those cards, put them in your discard pile, and I replace it. It goes back over to me. Alright, so I'm playing 2 crystals, 1 shard abstractor, 1 scion of nothingness, and 1 blaster. So that means I have 2 to buy, 2 mastery. So I'm going to take both that mastery right now, go up to 6. And for 2 to buy, there really isn't anything that great that I want to take. There are 2 cards I could buy, but I don't really need either one of them, and I don't want to clog up my deck with cards that don't really help my strategy. So I'm just going to spend an additional 1 to exhaust and gain another mastery. So my money goes away. My Shard Abstractor goes away because I already leveled up both of my mastery there. And I have this card, which gives me 3 damage right off the bat, and gives me an extra 2 damage for every Wraith card I have in my discard pile. So I'm going to check my discard pile to see how many I have. I don't think I have many, if any. But no, I don't have any. So I deal 3 damage to you, and that's the end of my turn. And now I draw my next cards, I shuffle, draw the other cards, and it goes back to you. So, you've got 2 crystals, a shard reactor, a blaster, and an infinity shard. So, that means you've got 4 to buy, unless you've made it to the next mastery level for that card. I don't think you've made it to 5 yet. Are you past 5? Okay. And you've got infinity shard and a blaster, which can both deal you damage. Alright, so you've got 4 to buy, which means you can take that card for 2, that one for 1, or that one for 3. Personally, I would recommend getting this one for 3 because it lets you deal a lot of damage, and I think damage is never not useful.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Alright, so you take that for 3, and because you have an additional 1 left over, that means you can level up for 1 mastery, which means you can just move that up 1 dial. And you deal 3 damage to me, so I go down to 43. And then those cards go in your discard pile, and they're 2. And so the next set of cards. All right, I have 2 crystals, an infinity shard, a blaster, and a shard abstractor. So I'm gonna level up 2 mastery till 9. I have 2 to buy again. And again, there's really nothing that I can use for 2, so I'm just gonna pay another mastery to exhaust 1. Yeah, and now that I've made it to a new, now that I've reached 10 mastery, I now have a new level, which means I now get more damage for that card. Alright, so now I can deal 4 damage. And that's the end of my turn. So now these cards go in my discard pile, just face up, and then I draw 5 new cards from my deck. And my turn is over. So I face these back down. You've got your Optio Crusher, a Shard Reactor, a Crystal, an Infinity Shard, and a Shadebound Sentry. So that means you've got a lot of damage, and I think you've got 3 to buy. Alright, so you can take this one for 2, this for 4. Sorry, no. This for 2, this for 1, and this for 3. I would recommend taking this card, the Portal Monk, because it lets you get a free card for up to 6. And once you get more mastery, you can put that card right into your hand. So that card will go into your discard pile, because you just bought it. And you still got a bunch of other damage to do. And all right, so I'm not sure if I can read all of them, but that card, that champion, that's going to go out here. And because it's a champion, it doesn't automatically go away. That means every turn, you're going to be able to deal me 3 damage until I take out that card. And I think that says gain 3 damage. So that means you're going to be hitting me for 6, and I can't shield that. So I go down 37. So I've got 10 damage. Sorry, I've got 10 mastery right here, and I've got 37 health right there. So right now you're at 26 health and 3 mastery. So I have 2 crystals, a Shard Abstractor, another crystal, and Dragonarius, which is my champion. So I have 2 mastery from this, and I'll level up to 12. I have 3 to buy. And I guess I'll take this guy, the Numeri Drones. That card lets you gain 1 money and lets you put the next 1 days. Oh, it's only a champion. the next Home Days champion you buy right into play. It's good if you buy a lot of Home Days champions. It's not the best card, but it works. And I have 6 damage, and that's it. So I'm gonna deal 6 damage to you, and that's the end of my turn. Make sure eventually, probably on your next turn, you want to use the damage from this champion right there to kill my champion, because he only needs to take 2 damage to leave the game, and he deals 6 damage every turn, so you don't want to leave him there. Otherwise, the game is going to end in a pretty short amount of time. You've got 3 crystals, 1 blaster, and a Thorn Zealot. And because your champion, the Optio Crusher, is still out, that means you can deal 3 damage to me. So I think the Thorn Zealot says to draw a card. Oh, all right, and that means you can draw another card. I'm sorry. That card, the Crowed Fist Monk, its ability is that you can draw another card.
Okay, let me just draw. I just gotta put it back again.
And because you have a shield there, and a shield beforehand, you wouldn't actually have taken 3 of the damage that I dealt to you last turn, because technically the rules are you're supposed to draw the hand beforehand, so you wouldn't have taken 3 of that, so you can go up to 23 now. Sorry, that was a fault in the explanation of the rules on my part. All right, so you've got 3 to buy, which means you could take that card for 1 or that one for 2.
What are those again?
So you can buy that card for 1 or that card for 2. I would recommend taking this card for 2, which gives you 1 money and lets you draw a card, because money and drawing a card are never a bad thing. And you still have 1 left over, which means you can level up 1 mastery at the end of your turn. And you still have your champion out, which means you can hit me for 3. So you hit me for 2 to this thing, this goes away, and I take 1 damage. And that's the end of your turn. Those cards go away, and then I start mine. All right. All right, so I've got a Shard Reactor, the Scion of Nothingness, and 3 crystals. So that means I've got 6 to buy. I'm going to take this one for 4. This guy for 4.
Okay.
He goes away. And I still have 2 left to buy. I'll take 1 of these for 1, and I'll spend my remaining money to level up for 1. And I can deal 3 because of my Scion or Nothingness. So I'm dealing 3 damage. And that's the end of my turn. So I deal 3 damage, and I'm done. You've got 3 crystals, Razazah the Soul Flare, and an Umbral Scourge. That means you're going to be doing a lot of damage and a lot of leveling up this turn. So you've got 3 to buy, which means you can take either one of these 2, this one for 1 or this one for 2. I guess I would recommend taking this one because it gives me more money, which means you can get more cards. So I guess I should take that one over there. And that means you can level up for 1 because you still have additional money that you're not going to use. And you can now level up another 2 because of both of those cards. So now, have you reached 10?
I'm at 6.
You're at 6? Okay.
So
Then you're not going to get the additional extra damage, but you can still hit me for 7. Because you got 3 damage from that and another 4 from that. So I go down to 29 health. And that's the end of your turn. I've got 2 Shard Abstractors, a crystal, an Infinity Shard, and another crystal. So I can use both my Shard Abstractors to level up for 4. So I go to 17 Mastery. And I only have 2 to spend. Again, I haven't been getting a whole lot of money this turn. So I can level up again to 18. And I have my Infinity Shard, which can only deal 2 damage. Or no, sorry, because I've cleared 10 Mastery, I can deal 3 damage. And that's the end of my turn. And I draw the next cards for my turn. And that's it. So you have a blaster, 2 crystals, Shadebound Sentry, and an Infinity Shard, which means you have 2 to buy right now, and you could buy this for 2, but I wouldn't recommend it because then you have no money left to level up for Mastery. I would recommend using your money instead to level up for 1, because this card I don't think really fits into your strategy. And you have a lot of damage on me. You've got 3, 6, 9 damage to me, and I cannot shield that, so now I go from 29 all the way down to 20. And now those cards go away into your discard pile, except your champion remains, because I haven't killed him yet. And that is the end of your turn. Alright, so I level up twice for 20. And I only have 3 to buy, but my champion goes right here. And I only have 1 damage, so you take 1, but that's all I can hit you with. And I have 3 to buy now. But there's really nothing that I need for 3. I mean, I guess I'll take the Giga Source Adept. For 2, this guy. And that was 2, and I still have 1 left, so I'm going to take the Wraith Skirmisher for that much. And that's the end of my turn. So because you had a 3 shield in your hand, when I dealt you that damage, you wouldn't have taken that 1 damage. You wouldn't have taken that 1 damage because of your shield. So we're going to retroactively give you back that 1 point. All right, so now you've got 2 crystals, in Order Initiate, a Portal Monk, and a Thorn Zealot. So now you have to draw a card because of your Thorn Zealot. And you get to draw another card because of that one. So now you got a lot of stuff to do. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to buy. Pretty good. I would personally recommend taking. I wouldn't buy anything yet because your Portal Monk allows you to recruit a card with cost 6 or less. So I would take the most expensive card you can buy with that, which is the Optio Crusher for 5 right now. I would recruit that automatically into your hand because you don't want to lose that. So you automatically get that card, and a new card flips, and you might be able to buy that with 6. So again, I would personally recommend buying this new card for 3 with your remaining 6. If I can pick up the card. There you go. You buy that for 3. And another card flips for 3, and because you have 6, this is a really, really good card. I definitely recommend buying it for 3. And now you're out of money, but you still have 3 damage to hit me with. So I go down to 17. And I think that's the end of your turn. So let me see. I've got an Order Initiate, a Scion of Nothingness, a Shard Abstractor, and 2 crystals. So with the Shard Abstractor, I'm going to level up for 2, get him into 22 Mastery. Both of my crystals, I'm going to use 1 to buy a Wraith Skirmisher, use the remaining 1 to level up to 23. So my money goes back into my discard pile. An extra 2 damage for each Wraith card in my discard pile. I have 2 Wraith cards in my discard pile right here. I've got 2, purple card right there, and a purple card right there. All right, so I now have 3, 5, 7 damage to deal, and that's the end of my turn. This game has been really weird because we haven't seen, there have been almost no undergrowth cards that let you heal. So it's just been, when you're dealing damage, it's just permanent damage We know it's been able to heal a lot. Alright, so you've got 2 crystals, the Shard Reactor, the Umbral Scourge, and Zararod the Soul Flare. And that means you've got 5 to spend. I would definitely recommend taking this card because it's a shield. Those are especially helpful when you're got low health. That's a good way to prevent damage from hitting you. And you can level up for 2, and you can hit me for 4. So I can't shield that, so I take 4 damage. So I take 4 damage, you level up for 2, and that's the end of your turn. Alright, so I've got 2 crystals, an Infinity Shard, my Draconarius, my champion, and a crystal. So I've got 3 to buy, actually 4 to buy because of this champion. And I think I'm going to take the Reactor Drone for 3. Come on. And use my remaining 1 to level up, which is 24, Mastery. And I am going to deal 6 damage because of this guy. And because I'm past 20 Mastery, another 5 damage. So I'm hitting you for 11 damage. I had 11 damage to hit. And you're only at 9 damage, or sorry, only at 9 health, which means you now go down to 0. So that means the game is ended. I think Shards of Infinity is a fun, fast, original, easy-to-learn deck-building game that has a variety of different strategies to win. A little note on the game itself: although this game can be played with 2, 3, or 4 people, I personally recommend only playing with 2 players. I think with 3 or 4 people, one or 2 people often get ganged up on by the other players, and there's really no way to combat that, especially if you've got a lot of people going on you with a lot of damage. Another way to play it, and I think the rules for this are introduced in the expansion to this game that was just released called Relics of the Future. There is a way to play a team version of 2v2. I think that's really fun. There's a lot of new intricate strategies that are introduced with that. And overall, I just think this is a really cool, fast-moving game. Shards of Infinity is created by Stoneblade Games, the same guys who made the game Ascension, which I also demoed here. This is very similar as a deck-building game to Ascension, but I think it adds more of a competitive strategy to it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this game.